In the next segment, we shall see that the oldest city in America, St. Augustine, a city that is still thriving 450 years later, was a singular vision of a Hispanic man, Don Pedro Menéndez.
This massive Spanish fort, Castillo de San Marcos, was built from 1672 to 1695 in order to protect the oldest permanent European settlement in the United States. Indeed, 55 years before the Pilgrims celebrated the first Thanksgiving, and 211 years before the creation of the United States, an energetic and far-seeing Hispanic naval officer, Don Pedro Menéndez de Aviles, along with 800 soldiers and settlers, landed on the east coast of Florida at this spot. That year, 1565, they founded St. Augustine and established the first colony in what would later become the United States of America. Don Pedro Menéndez de Aviles was born in 1519 in Aviles, Spain. At age 14, he went to sea, where he quickly distinguished himself. So much so that by the age of 35, he was named the Captain General of Spain's West Indian treasure fleets. In 1554, he commanded the royal galleon that bore King Philip II of Spain to England to marry Queen Mary. At that time, Spain had already been in the New World for more than 60 years. She had established 2 successful agricultural colonies on the islands of Cuba and Puerto Rico. The wealth they produced was through sugarcane and tobacco. Spain had also conquered 2 great Native American empires, the Aztecs and the Incas. She had taken their wealth and sent it back to Europe aboard vast treasure fleets. Interestingly, though Florida had been claimed by Spain in 1513 by Ponce de Leon, and again in 1539 by Hernando de Soto, she still had not established any colonies on this part of the North American mainland. However, that changed when France founded the St. Caroline colony on Florida's St. John's River in 1564. The colony's fort threatened Spain's treasure ships, which sailed along Florida's shoreline returning to Spain. Spain's King Philip II sent his highest admiral, Menéndez, and 2,000 sailors, soldiers, and their families to Florida with orders to colonize the land and drive out pirates and settlers of other nations. The plan was for the Spanish Armada to sail up Florida's St. John's River and attack the French colony directly. However, the French had blockaded the river. Menéndez and his troops were forced to land at a smaller harbor south of St. Caroline. Menéndez called this new landing St. Augustine. On September 8, 1565, he named the fort officially St. Augustine. This would become the first permanent settlement in all of the United States. But Menéndez's troubles with the French were not over. The French explorer Jean Ribault gathered his ships to attack the Spanish colony. But a storm wrecked his ships at present-day Daytona Beach. Taking advantage of this situation, Menéndez and 500 men attacked the French fort at St. Caroline and killed all the soldiers, letting only the women and children go free. Now Menéndez began to settle the land in earnest. He explored the area and set up a string of forts along Florida's coastline. He made diplomatic treaties with more of the Indian tribes, trading for much-needed supplies. At the same time, Menéndez invited missionaries to establish missions throughout Florida to convert the Native Americans to the Catholic faith. He also built outposts on St. Helena Island in South Carolina and on Chesapeake Bay. As more settlers arrived at St. Augustine, a small town grew, Santa Elena, which would become the capital of Spanish Florida. Menéndez left Florida in 1567 and returned once more in 1571. He died in Spain on September 17, 1574. But his vision left a unique Spanish legacy in Florida that can still be experienced in the city he founded. St. Augustine, a city that, along with its fort, protected Spain's colonies in the Caribbean from English invaders well into the 17th century.